So in this class, we want to look at the nature of organisation and what it means to be well organised. Often this can be easily misunderstood. People might think simply telling people what to do is good organisation. But as we've said already, we need to listen, we need to coordinate, we need to understand. There is a great deal involved. Sometimes being organised is viewed with suspicion. Some people say, let's just listen to the spirit. But when things are disorganised, we soon see that there are problems. Some people say that organisation is overly restrictive and bureaucratic, but often that's the way the organisational work is done, not the benefits of organisation. Some say that it's overmanaged, over-controlled. Again, that's the way that it's done. Throughout history, religious communities, Christian communities and churches have depended on organisation. When we worship, we organise a time and a place and musicians. When we go on mission, we organise who is going, how the activity is unfolding. When we care for people, when we preserve our beliefs, when we manage our resources, when we educate, when we foster healthy life, it's all needing to be organised. When we read in the Old Testament, Moses and the people of Israel, it is well organised under Moses. When he gives the commands in Deuteronomy, we see again examples of good organisation. And in the Gospels with Jesus organising the 12 and organising the feed of the 3,000 and 5,000, again we see effective organisation, as we do in the book of Acts chapter 6 and in Corinthians and in Ephesians. Organisation is a part of being well developed in God's purposes. Scholars in organisational theory too look at the nature of effective organisations, including the value of understanding how people relate to one another, or the scholarly discipline of sociology. They look too at how people think, or the scholarly discipline of psychology, and how people lead. That is what it means to be giving direction and guidance. And there can be different models of leadership. Some see the model as top down, others see the model as bottom up, and then others simply say it's going in front. So, in front can be another notion of leadership. So, these are models for understanding organisational leadership. But organisations are not just a task. This needs to be done. They are relational. That is, we need to know how to relate to the people that we are working with and organising. Churches and other organisations are social. That is, people are interacting with one another. They are emotional. They are missional. People are seeking to understand how people feel and how they make meaning in what they are doing, how they gain a sense of value and identity in what they do, and how they work together. So, in this article and in this lesson, we're going to look at the meaning of organisation and how it's best outworked in our lives. The Greek word organize means to bring part the different parts or organs all to work together. The Latin word organize means to arrange in a structured whole where all the parts work together. And in Romans chapter 12 and in Corinthians 12, we read how being organized can be likened to the parts of a body. So if we think about the parts of a body, we can see that the body works when all the parts are organized. So let's have a think now about what it means to have the parts of a body working together, the systems of the body, all the parts and systems working together. And we could draw an image of a body to show all the parts working together. And here's a couple of images, but there are other images that could show the different parts working together. Let's have a look at a few of these images. This one here shows that we've got the blood vessel systems, we've got the liver, we've got the muscles and body parts all working together. Here's another model, and in this model, we've got all the different parts all working together. And it's this bringing together all of the different parts that helps the body to function. So can I get everyone to just draw a picture of a body with head, arms, legs to show how all the parts work together? So in this diagram here, we've got the head, we've got the chest, we've got the legs, we've got the arms, we've got muscles, we've got blood vessels. All of the parts have to all work together for the body to work. There's other images. Here's another image with the head, the chest, all the different parts. This one includes the kidneys, the lungs, the heart, all of the different parts involved. And sometimes the different systems have a name: the skeletal system, the muscular system, the circulatory system. And Christians have played a great role in understanding these over the many years. The nervous system, the digestive system that gives energy to the body from food, the respiratory system that gives energy to the body from the air that's breathed in. All of these are part of the many important systems of the body. So can I get everyone to draw just a quick little diagram of a body? And I want you to write underneath that the human body reminds us of the importance of the coordination of the different systems that help make all of the parts of the human body work together. And without this coordination and cooperation between all the parts of the human body, then the human body would not work. And in the same way, in any organization, without the coordination of all the parts, then the organization would not work. So it's important that all the parts work together. And Romans 12 reminds us of the importance of all of the parts of a body, including an organizational body and a church body working together, coordinated. From a biological perspective of a human body, a human person survives because the heart and the lungs and all of the parts work together. They do their job, but they also work with all of the other parts, understanding what all of the other parts are doing at the same time. So organizations such as a church also work when all of the parts and diverse people, roles, resources, and processes all work together. Gareth Morgan argued that organizations can be understood through metaphors such as a machine, and in the 1800s, when science was growing in understanding of machines like motorbike, car, train, there was an emphasis that an organization might be like a motorbike, car, or train, a machine. But organizations are much more like bodies with many living parts that need to work together. And 1 Corinthians 12 and Romans 12 reminds us that the church body and every organization works when the parts work together. Can you think of some of the lessons we can learn from the parts working together? And you could write some of these down. Firstly, the value of diversity. Every person is different, men and women, boys and girls, young and old, introvert and extrovert, short and tall, um, humor oriented, seriousness oriented. We are all different, diverse, just like the parts of the body are all different. Secondly, there's an interdependence between the parts of the body. The lungs need the heart and the blood. The heart and the blood need the lungs and the air and the oxygen. All of the parts have to work together. Coordination, if we're going to walk or run, all of the parts, the muscles, the skeleton, the lungs, the heart, all need to be coordinated and working together. And they all need to mutually care for one another. If the leg is hurt, the heart sends blood to the legs with what is needed to repair and heal. The lungs send oxygen to the legs to also help in the healing process. And other needs are met through all of the parts of the body caring for any part that's hurt. And so too in a church or in an organization, when one suffers or hurts, the other parts need to all coordinate and contribute to the health and life of that part. Organisations, therefore, must be connected through the tasks, the different things being connected. Can you think of the tasks in a church when I was a pastor organising the church? Firstly, we had to decide on the meeting time. And so we would have a meeting time on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and we would meet at either 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. And then when we met together, there would be a place. So firstly, I, as a leader, would work with the others and we would come together, but there was coordination with the other people involved. And so I would talk to the musicians and I would say, can you practice during the week? And I would say, let me know what you'll be able to do. And they would say, we are practicing, we're getting ready, we will be there. And we would talk it through, and they would say they would get there half an hour beforehand. They would be practicing, they would be ready. And so there was communication took place between all of the people involved. And then after the church meeting, we would often have something to eat and tea or coffee. And then there's an ordering of the resources. And so we had to have finance, we had to have all of the other resources that we need. And then there would be systems. And so we would have other meetings whereby the leaders would come together. We would have other meetings whereby we would discuss all that had to be done. Then there was the integration of our vision, values, and practices. And so we would listen to all of the people and we would talk about mission, what we were setting out to achieve. We would talk about opportunity, what could be done. We would talk about challenges. How would we deal with these? We would talk about our values and our vision and our practices, and through discussing and working through this, we would come to an agreement on what were our priorities and how would they be achieved. And then we would also develop a sense of identity. That is, who were we about? The church I was involved in, we called ourselves a family church, and then we were working in a city called Chelsea, so we called ourselves Chelsea Family Church because we were wanting to work with groups of people in the place, and we were wanting to build families and work with children. And so there were certain goals and identity that we had through people being a similar age with similar goals. So all this was part of the coordination process, and it all reflected this understanding that we were all parts that worked together, just like the metaphor or image of a body that we read about in 1 Corinthians 12. So let's go now to 1 Corinthians 12. And in 1 Corinthians 12, we read about the parts of the body needing to all work together. So in any church, you've got gifts, and the Holy Spirit and natural abilities give gifts. There's musicians, there's preachers, there's those who serve. There's lots of different gifts, and they all come back and work together. And there's different kinds of gifts. Some are more outgoing, some more introverted, but they need to work together. But God and Jesus are the Lord over all. So just as a body has many parts, all the many parts work together. So too in the church, Jesus works with all of the parts so that they might work all together. And we're all united and baptized in one spirit, in one body. We all work together. So one part of the body or one part of the church doesn't say, because I'm not another part, and the foot doesn't say, because I'm not a hand, I don't feel I belong. They can't say that because we are all part and we all work together. The eye too cannot say, I don't need you, and the head cannot say, I don't need you. All of the parts must value one another and work to one another. And in any organisation, it's important to develop a way of understanding the diversity and working together. And part of the secret of working together, 1 Corinthians chapter 13 reminds us that love is an important way of all of the parts working together. When love is present and all of the parts care for one another. Love is patient and kind, and it doesn't envy, does not boast, is not proud, is not self-seeking, not easily angered, doesn't wrong one another, doesn't delight in evil. Love never fails. And for we see that faith and hope and love builds the body and leads the body of people forward. So we're reminded there of the importance of connecting with one another as we seek to bring about the achievement of all of the tasks that we have. Make a note too that organisation is important in mission. That is, what is our purpose? What is our mission? We need to listen to all parts of the body and communicate to them. We sense our mission involves. And many churches have mission statements. And you could think about church mission statements. And in a moment, I'm going to get you to write down some church mission statement. A church mission statement should have clarity. That is, it should clearly say to anyone who's new or anyone who's been there for a long time what the church is seeking to do. It should be brief and concise. It should be action-oriented, helping people to set out and achieve the goals that they have. It should consider the Great Commission, where they're called on mission to spread the good news that has come to us through Jesus. They should also engage with the wider community around them, and they should also strengthen and build up the body of believers gather. So you might be able to think of some statements such as to present the good news, the gospel of Jesus, in such a way as to bring unbelievers, non-Christians, into conversion, faith, into discipleship, and then into mature, fruitful leaders. That's an example of one mission statement. Another could be to bring the light of Christ into our presence and into the wider world. Or another mission statement could be to glorify God by demonstrating Jesus as Lord and Saviour to as many people as possible and to develop them in their Christian living. So, can I get you all now to write down an example of a mission statement? And it could be a mission statement for a church or group or youth group or music group. What's the mission about? What are you setting out to achieve? And we could look at some examples of mission statements. So it's a sentence that describes what the church sets out to do. It's short and focused. So here's one church and its mission statement, and its mission statement of Calvary Church is making disciples who are following Jesus, who are like Jesus. To make disciples, and their vision is to reach the community and change the world. So that's one example of a mission statement. Another one here, to bring people into relationship with God through Jesus. Another one, to follow Jesus and to love people. We exist to create a space where families can meet with Jesus and each other, find community and grow in their faith. We believe better is possible. So that's another example of a mission statement. The Rock Church in San Diego, its mission statement is to share God's love with those who've experienced brokenness. So it's to share God's love with those who are in need so that they might grow and change. It's to know God and his love and to share that knowledge of God and his love with others. City on a Hill in Melbourne is to know Jesus and make Jesus known. To know Jesus and to make Jesus known. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. To discover the beauty, truth, and relevance of Jesus and make this known to others. To experience fullness of life together. So these are some examples of mission statements, and we're asking you to write down a mission statement. So can I get you then to share that mission statement with another person here in our class today? So can you turn to someone else and just share your mission statement with someone else in the class? know and to love and to serve can be another mission statement. To know, to love, and to serve. So it's important to have an understanding of what the organisation and the church is setting out to do in general and more broadly. And then it's also important to be able to focus that more specifically. What is the church more specifically in detail going to do each week? What's the youth group, the music group? What's your group going to do in order to achieve these goals? And that's what leadership is about, is having ideas and inspiration and motivation in order to achieve that which is needed and being able to organise that happening. One of the primary reasons organisation and everything working together matters is because the mission requires coordination and cooperation of every person and every part and every task that is involved. There is much going on in the church. Churches seek to worship, to teach, to disciple, to care, to evangelize. They seek to do a great deal through God's presence and through Christ bringing salvation. And to do this, they need to coordinate the many different people and talents and abilities to work together. Without organisation, these functions will be fragmented, inconsistent, and they're not going to really unfold as fully as they can. Peter Drucker said that organisations exist to accomplish purposes that individual people alone cannot achieve. That is, they seek to accomplish much more. So Peter Drucker said, organisation accomplishes what individuals alone cannot achieve. That is, it takes the much bigger group and the organisation to achieve what is going on. Peter Drucker. He said an organisation is all the different parts working together to accomplish extraordinary results that any one individual cannot accomplish, because it needs all of the diverse people and skills and talents to all work together. I've got a Apple iPhone here, and this iPhone has the many different parts that takes hundreds, if not thousands of people to all work together to make it all happen. No one person could make it happen. It takes all that happen. In the story of the iPhone, we had Wozniak, who worked out that you could connect a screen to a keypad, and you also had Jobs, who said you could arrange it all together. And the two people in 1976 began building the first Apple, which was a computer, which was quite ordinary. It wasn't as fancy as they certainly are today. And in bringing all of these parts together, initially they assembled it in their garage, and then eventually things got smaller and bigger. But it always needed a lot of people all working together to bring all the parts together. So Steve Jobs alone or Steve Wozniak alone couldn't have achieved it. And then they needed another person and another person, and eventually a whole organisation to come together. And churches too need many people, diversity of skills and abilities and talents, all to work together to achieve what is needed. That is, it takes a great diversity of people all working together to achieve what is needed, because there's such a complexity and a diversity of elements that are involved in making a church happen. And so whichever church group you're a part of, then you need to be able to bring together the many different parts that are needed for all the parts to work together. So Peter Drucker, he said that organisations exist so that the whole organisation can accomplish much more than any one person could achieve. And we could go to Google Scholar and find some scholarly resources on this, and we could then look at various aspects of his ideas and his insights. And so here's one of his books on wisdom for organisations. And so these sort of resources can be useful there. Churches too need to bring together the different people with all of their skills and abilities and talents if they're going to achieve what they're seeking to achieve. Poor organisation often leads to confusion, misunderstanding, or some people working too hard and burning out and giving up, or duplication of effort, or effort in lots of different directions, or lack of clarity about responsibility. Effective organisations occur when all of the people work together, when all of the people can contribute the skills and abilities that they have, and they can be relied on to bring what they have to be a part of what is needed. Max Weber said that organisations emerge because they can coordinate what is needed. So Max Weber wrote about the importance of organisations and all of the parts all working together. And so Max Weber, organisations and parts working together. And we could read about his theory of social and economic organisation and other books that Max Weber has contributed to. And so this is one of the resources that we could look at. In churches, we need to coordinate the many different activities and people. We need to manage the finances and budgets in a transparent way where everyone can see what is going on. We need to ensure safety, particularly child safety, and accountability, ethics. We need to preserve the memory of our goals and hopes over the years. We need to support continuity. And when there's a change from one leader to another, we need to build links between the dreams and hopes of those previous and those going forward into the future. Without organisation, churches will struggle to achieve all that needs to be achieved. Organisation is essential for effectively accomplishing all that God has called people to do. So at the end of today, we're going to ask you to reflect on the nature of organisations and how a leader, through his organisational abilities and skills, can help to develop an organisation that can accomplish much more than any one individual could accomplish. And through that, each member should flourish and do well. And through that, the organisation should be able to bring benefit to many, many people. So let's take our break there. And then after the break, we'll come back for another third session where we're going to look further at the value of organisation in contributing to the growth of an organism that can bring blessing and benefit to many, many people. I'll see you shortly in 10 minutes' time.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.